I am muted. Welcome to Pieguy Pick'em Week 11. It is Week 11 of the NFL. It is Great Cup weekend as well, so lots of football on this weekend, north and south of the Canadian-American border. Pieguy here with you. It was a so-so week last week. I had some really good bets, like ballsy plays on the Saints and the Dolphins. I didn't put enough on that I had really good reads on. And then, of course, the Cardinals team total under. When you have a 35-0 game like that so early in the game, you're worried about the garbage time points, and of course, the garbage time points came. Just a quick around the league. The Green Bay Packers, a mess. Holding on to the final wild card spot in the NFL and the NFC right now. The Kansas City Chiefs are outside the playoff picture, but they're the Super Bowl favorites. So some weird, some teams have started rough. You see who's at the top of the division: the Patriots, the Colts, the Broncos. In the AFC, feels like it's 2015 all over again with the two Manning brothers and Tom Brady. A little bit of connection issues there, but looks like it will be settled. Okay, let's get right into it because we have only two teams on buys. I mean, 14 games to get through. I had a bet last night on the Patriots, but it didn't matter because it pushed at Patriots minus 13. So if you got the early number, good on you, and you cashed the Patriots. If you got the late number with the Jets and you cashed at 13.5, good on you. I pushed, so it's almost like I didn't bet last night, which is normally I don't bet Thursday Night Football. So, all right. Dolphins Commanders. This is the international game, the last, I believe, early morning game. This one's in Madrid, Spain, where the Dolphins are 2.5-point neutral site favorites. The total here is 47.5. In my opinion, this is two teams going in different directions. The Commanders got stomped by the Lions. We talked about last week. It's a team full of veterans. That saw their star young quarterback go down. Terry McLaurin still he's on the trip, but he's just there to see Spain. That's that. How many of people who are going to be on the field are on the trip just to see Spain? That's what I want to know. It's an older defense. Deron Payne, one of their best defenders, is suspended for throwing a punch. We saw the sort of Amon-Ra throw one behind the refs. I don't think he's going to get suspended. That would be wild. I actually didn't look into that, but the line didn't move on the Lions game, so I doubt that's going to happen. But it's the guy. People are making business decisions, personal decisions. This team, like I said, it's an older veteran team. They don't. It's not full of young guys like the Jets and the Browns. Got to prove themselves. These guys are going to get, if they're any good, they're going to get hired again next year on 1-year deals. Same kind of deal. Mariota, though, he's been pretty good. This offense, even without Daniels and McLaurin, it's not good, but it's okay. It's okay to good. It's not great. Obviously, Gene Daniels is very, very good. But the problem is third down. 2-10 on third down against Detroit. The defense, like I said, it's your 3-6, 3-7. The quit is going around. Meanwhile, the other team, the Miami Dolphins, also only have 3 wins, but look at what they pulled off last week against upsetting the Buffalo Bills, beating them for the first time in 7 straight, the first time in 8 matchups, so 7 losses in a row. The Dolphins defense, hogwash to start the season, awful, terrible, couldn't stop me running with the football. Couldn't stop the local the flag football team at the local high school here. But all of a sudden, last 3 weeks, look, held Atlanta to 10 points. The Ravens game, okay, they allowed 28, but the offense was a mess that game, and the defense kept them in. It was a 13 or 14-6 a half. It should have been 28-35-6. That defense was playing pretty good. Kept that game under the total for the second half, which I cashed a live under there. Outgained Buffalo by 1 yard per play. 1.2 yards per play, 7 to 5.8 yards per play. That game was probably circled. And I understand that game was circled for the Miami Dolphins. You lost 7 in a row to the Bills, the divisional rival. They're coming off a big win against the Chiefs. It was a beautiful Dolphins spot. I should have played some money line. I was a little bit annoyed, especially with knowing the record. But I didn't trust them to win the game, but they played excellent. The team has not quit. Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, when Tua is good Tua, this team can beat quality foes, especially with the way, this defense is playing. They were able to stop the run. They played Atlanta, Buffalo, or Baltimore and Buffalo, 3 of the better running teams in the league, right? Okay, Baltimore got some on the ground against them, but again, the offense had nothing in that game. Baltimore had the ball the whole game. And then the other two, Bijan Robinson, what did he do against the Dolphins? Not much. James Cook, what did he do against the Dolphins? Not much. They were able to hold some pretty good run games in check 2 of the last 3 weeks. And the Ravens won. I don't think you can blame the defense. Like I said, the offense was putrid in that game. The offense is good in this game. I don't see how Miami doesn't blow out the Commanders here, because Commanders need to run the football to win. If the Dolphins defense plays like it has the last 3 weeks, stopping the run, who are you going to throw to? Luke McCaffrey? I think he's hurt too. No, I can't even name some of the wide receivers on Washington right now. Deebo Samuel, okay, but Washington's thinking about vacation. Terry McLaurin's there to sightsee, not to play football. And I kind of feel there's some teammates probably with the same idea. Dolphins, this could be a sneaky team. 4 of their next 5 are against some they're probably going to be favored in 4 of the next 5 games. Could we see, a late season resurgence? I mean, they haven't quit on their coach. I thought this team was dead in the water. I thought they'd quit weeks ago. They've shown they have not quit on their coach. Yeah, they're playing well. So I think the Dolphins. If the Dolphins play their A game here, Washington. I don't think they're going to play their A game. They could. It is international. Like I said, that game last week was circled a little bit. That's the concern, but I feel like there's non-zero. Dolphins blow them out in this game. So I bet Miami 2.5 for most of a unit, but the other half of it, I put a little, most of a unit on Miami minus 2.5. The rest of that unit, I put on Miami minus 8.5 at a big plus number, like plus 385 or plus 285, something like that. Miami minus 8.5, because I think Washington could quit here, and the Dolphins should be able to run the ball. When the Dolphins run game works, the Dolphins offense, it looks like, it should look, and we know what the Dolphins offense looks when it's clicking. It looks like it did, 2 years ago when the offense was, unstoppable, all the motions. When the run game works, Miami can really run up the score on some teams. So Dolphins minus 2.5 plus. I'm going to go for the big score. Dolphins minus 8.5 on the alt spread line. Because I think they can win this game by 10 plus here. If they bring their A game. It's an if, but even if they bring their BC game, Washington might just fold. 44 to the Lions last week. What do the Dolphins need to cover? 2.5 here. What do they need to cover this 30? And I think they can win 30 to 20 here. I'm worried about the total because, like I said, the Dolphins defense has been playing well. Dolphins defense shuts down the run game. Does Washington, how many points does Washington put up here? It's going to be Deebo, and who else? If Croxy Merritt and who's the not Brian Robinson Jr., Chris Rodriguez, if those guys are shut down, yeah, the Washington offense might not work, and this could be a long day in Spain. But that's okay. They can go sightsee with Terry McLaurin. All right. Back in the United States, we have Bengals Steelers. Steelers 5.5 point home favorite, total 49. If you think I'm laying 5.5 with the Steelers, you're absolutely out of your mind. I've heard the argument, this should be 7. Oh, the Bengals defense is horrible. That Logan Wilson was playing anyways to begin with. The Bengals defense is horrible. That was the Chargers defense. Got after Rodgers, made him look like a 42-year-old man. There's no way, absolutely no chance I'm laying 5.5 with Aaron Rodgers. He looked old on Sunday. That was the easiest bet. The Chargers, easy winner. Should have put more on it. Like I said, they used their Yinzer Magic game in against Indy. They got the win against a team they shouldn't have beat. Now they go, they play a pick'em game against a team with a good defense. They couldn't do anything. Now they're going to go play a team with a good offense. Now this was the argument for the Steelers. I know this was Steelers minus 5.5 in Cincinnati. So this is like, a 3.5, 4-point move. But we thought Joe Flacco was going to be horrible in that game. And obviously we had the fun Unk Bowl there. I don't know. I can't get to 5.5. I bet the Bengals. This is one of the first bets I made. They're off 2 bad losses. Where the offense couldn't be stopped, but the defense couldn't stop anybody. I think they can stop this offense. I don't think it's that hard. I know the Chargers defense is very good, and they made the Steelers offense look silly. I know Logan Wilson again. He got traded to the Cowboys, but and there's concern since the offensive players are throwing the defensive players under the bus. Like they know, but they had a bye week. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. How hard is it to prepare for a quarterback who stands there like a statue? The big injury of concern, of course, is Trey Hendrickson. Let's see if I can get an injury update on this. If Trey Hendrickson plays and he's able to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers, I would really like, okay, he's not playing. But, okay, so Samaje Perine is out. Shamar Stewart, so Trey Hendrickson's out. So it's, Rodgers might have some time. But another thing here, for the Steelers, Alex Highsmith is out. Darius Slay is out. And Cole Holcomb is out. So, the Bengals should be able to move the football here. I'm not worried about the Bengals scoring. Joe Burrow is practicing, and he could be back as early as next week, maybe the week after. It looks like he's coming back. The Bengals are 3-6 here. The Ravens are 4-5. The Steelers are 5-4. This division isn't over. The Bengals are still in the mix technically. I think having Joe Burrow back at practice, but not playing, right? This is kind of the step-up spot. I've seen this in hockey especially, where the guy comes along, hey, I can't make this one, or in a playoff series, right? With the NFL, it's not a playoff series, but you only play 17 games. So every game is big for the most part. But I've seen it before where the star player goes along and says, I'm not going to be able to make it this week. But if you guys can, keep it up a little bit, I'll be back in a week or two, right? Burrow, right? And I think that's going to motivate this defense. And, defense is a lot about effort. I know the Bengals defense is horrible, but if they come, they should be able to stop Aaron Rodgers. This guy's a statue in the pocket. Where Al Golden, Notre Dame, come up with something, stop this guy, and just once or twice, because this Steelers defense is injured. They're not covering any of the Bengals. Not covering Chase. They're not covering Higgins. We saw what happened to in the Unk Bowl. The Bengals offense right now is firing all cylinders. The Bengals defense isn't. The Steelers offense should be able to score here, should be able to move the ball, but 49. Maybe I should play some of this over. I just don't want to be on, because if the Bengals win, it's an over, right? Like if the Bengals cover here, it's probably an over. So I'd rather just take the points. I mean, you don't need the Bengals to win the game, right? But I think they're alive. I think they definitely win this game, sweep the Steelers, and really throw a wrench into this division. We'll talk about the other team, obviously, who's favored to win the division. But yeah, that Rodgers looks old, and it might like time gets every quarterback. Got Brady, got Manning. Rodgers doesn't have the Bucks defensive line. I know he's got T.J. Watt, and some of these guys are pretty good, but it's not that 2015 Broncos defense. This guy's it's the Burrow boost, and Rodgers really wasn't good Sunday night. So I'm going to trust my eyes. I'm taking the points, and I've heard the other side, but I'm not betting on Pittsburgh. The Yinzer magic's over. Happened 2 weeks ago. They beat a top team in the league, in the Indianapolis Colts, and yeah, Joe Flacco. Even if he throws a pick, it's a punt. Like it's the arm punt, right? This offense could stall on its own. The Bengals don't even have to do much. This spook Aaron Rodgers a little bit. Bengals plus 5.5 full unit play for me here on Pieguys Pick'em. All right, Panthers Falcons. Panthers 3.5 point home. Falcons 3.5 point home favorites. The total 41.5, 42. I should have had more on the Saints last week. That was when I shout out to my buddy Steven. He had me look at the Saints schedule, say, oh, it was brutal, and I looked at him like, oh my, like their only winnable game basically all season was that Giants game, and they won it. And guess what? They had another winnable game against Carolina, and they won that one. So the Saints are 2-0 in games where they have a chance, and that's something. And they're on bye this week. But that could be a good thing because rookie quarterback now he gets a bye week to prepare 2 weeks. So maybe the Saints might be bet on coming out of the bye week. I think there's a little bit of a buy sign on the New Orleans Saints. I don't think they're as bad as they are rated in the market right now, and I don't think the Panthers are as good as they're rated in the market right now. This offense stinks out loud. There's no passing game. It's Rico Dowdle and a cloud of dust. And Rico Dowdle, I believe, is he? Oh, he's playing. Okay, so Rico Dowdle's playing, but he's banged up a little bit. And when Rico Dowdle and the run game doesn't work, this team sucks. They're awful. I mean, they've got win over Green Bay. Green Bay beats themselves. They did it again Monday night. They have a win over the Falcons. Remember, 30-zip. A little bit of revenge factor here for the Falcons. But the Falcons the last couple of weeks, the heartbreaking loss, toe-to-toe with the New England Patriots, 8-2, 9-2 team now after being the Jets. Toe-to-toe the 8-2 Indianapolis Colts, losing overtime. Lose by 1 point to the Patriots. Now you get to go play the Carolina Panthers. And Drake London can't be stopped right now. And he's what I'm waiting for. Now it's not the greatest spot for the Falcons. Like if they were coming off an international game where they lost in overtime, this is probably 5. But I'm not betting Carolina anymore. I had my fix of the Carolina Panthers. I think they are. Their offense is a dumpster fire. Their defense is. I remember last time these two teams played. That's more reason like that. The Falcons again beat themselves. Carolina's taking advantage of teams beating themselves, and good on them because they hadn't been able to do that for the past few seasons. They're 5-5. They probably should be like 2-8. But yeah, if Drake London plays, the Falcons are going to score. The Panthers can't score, and the Falcons' defense is pretty good. If this is in any way a negative game state for Carolina where they can't run the football, the game's over. It's finished. The Falcons' pass rush is going to eat Bryce Young alive. They have it's Rico Dowdle, Tate McMillan, and who's a playmaker? Xavier Legette. He looks like he's Aaron Rodgers' age out there. He's like 22. He's slowest guy I've seen. You got old man Thielen out there. Or no, sorry, he's back on Minnesota. You don't even have him anymore. Coker, but he's coming off the injury. He hasn't been flashing. Bryce Young sucks right now. He's awful. This is. I want the Falcons, but I'm waiting. If Drake London plays on Sunday, I'll bet the Falcons. I don't care if I have to lay 4.5, whatever. If Drake London plays, they beat the Panthers here. They beat him handily. I know it's a horrible spot, and I usually like to bet spots. I like spot, but Carolina whooped this team 30-zip. They remember that game. You're getting whooped. Basically, ended their season losing that. I mean, I love they lost 4 in a row. But they got to get – this is a divisional foe. They beat you 30-0, and they're not very good. So you should be able to come and get your revenge here. So but I need Drake London. He's been their best player. He's going to cook this defense if he plays. He's going to open up the run game. Falcons, if Drake London plays. If Drake London doesn't play, pass him off. Maybe the under if Drake London doesn't play because Carolina can't score right now, and Drake London's the whole Atlanta offense right now. So – maybe a small under if Drake London doesn't play. If Drake London does play, though, Falcons minus 3.5, 4, in case it goes up a point. All right, moving along to Texans, Titans. Texans, 5.5, 6-point road chalk against the worst team in the NFL. The total is 37.5 here. The Houston coming off a crazy fourth quarter comeback, killed my best bet. Another horrible beat. I feel like I read the board great last week. It had 2 horrible beats in the Arizona game and the Jaguars game. The Jaguars blow what was it, like a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. But Houston's a team stays in every game. They're a good fourth quarter team. They fight to the end. That team's got a good coach, a good culture. That defense, you never see the defense throwing the offense under the bus in Houston. Not once. Not like in Cincinnati where the offense has thrown the defense under the bus like 2-3 times in a row. You don't hear a peak from the defense on this team. They just get back out there and play hard. So it's a good culture here in Houston. I do like that. It's going to be General Mills, Davis Mills starting again. Injuries to Autry and Kyami Fairbairn, the kicker. I think they're both out. I'm just going to double check that. On the other side, you have the Titans coming off a bye and getting money. And I'll explain why the worst team in the NFL is getting money. It's because the rookie quarterback coming off the bye, usually you see them progress. You see this game slow down a little bit for them because they get extra preparation time. The coach gets a week to slow it down from the crazy NFL schedule week to week. And Calvin Ridley is going to he's questionable. I think he's going to play. So that means they'll have a real wide receiver out there for the first time. And we'll have friend Kamara Deke. Let me see. Calvin Ridley is questionable. And Jeffrey Simmons is questionable. I didn't even expect Jeffrey Simmons to play this week. So those are basically the Titans' two best players right now. CJ Stroud out. Fairbairn's out. Autry's going to play. Okay, that's big. So upgrade on both ends. Autry will play. Davis Mills is starting. I faded the Texans last week. Now I got the money because I played on an account where you get early payout if a team goes up X amount of points. But I counted it as a loss in the record, so I'm a little bit negative because of that. As the record is concerned, I can't bet the Titans. I don't really want Houston off that big loss. Davis Mills had a great fourth quarter. Jacksonville made a lot of mistakes in that game. If Ridley and Simmons play, they're coming off. The Titans got a lot of things going for them here. Not that they're going to win the game, but Houston's offense can be hit and miss here. So this is a pass for me. Not going to watch it. Not going to bet it. I don't want the under either. In fact, Houston's been an over team lately, but the one time I bet them over, they went under again on me. So I lean to the over, especially if Calvin Ridley plays, because that means the Titans might score. The Titans score 17 points, or I'd be shocked if this stays under the total. So under 30 is really low. So maybe a case for the over here with the Titans and the Texans. All right. Here we go. I can't even spell their name right. The Green Bay Packers. This is two disasters. Two disasters hitting each other here. The Green Bay Packers, the New York Giants. Giants 7-point home dogs, total 42.5, 43. Let's start with the Giants. So the Giants found a way to blow another fourth quarter lead to the Chicago Bears. They were up 10 points in that game, and they lost by 4. Cover the early number. I lost my small -4.5, but I wasn't too salty. I have Bears win totals. I have Bears futures. So Jackson Dart gets hurt. Russell Wilson has to come, and he's awful. Brian Dable gets fired the next couple of days. It was an even game. They played great in terms of when Dart was in there. But, of course, they committed the only turnover. The Bears have been very good at capitalizing on turnovers this season. And, 10 penalties, 69 yards for the New York Giants. They made mistakes, right? It's a young team. They played well, made mistakes, covered the late number, didn't cover the early number. So pretty even game. Did what they expected. But, when you blow a fourth quarter lead, 10 points, and you get the star quarterback injured and concussed for the fourth time he's been in concussion protocol, yeah, your ass is out the door. See you later, Dable. In comes Mike Kafka, and he's already made a good move because it's not going to be Russell Wilson this weekend. It is going to be Mr. Jameis Winston behind center for the New York Giants. And I like this. I think this is the right move. Their kicker, Graham Gano, he's on IR, so could be some kicking issues. Kayvon Thibodeau and Darius Slayton are both out, two of the bigger names on the injury report. Bobby Okereke and what's his name? Paulson Adebo, the cornerback. He is they're questionable, and then Chauncey Golston and Raheem Nunez Robles are both out. Actually, Nunez Robles might be doubtful, but I'm considering him out. as well as strong safety Tyler Newman. So banged up on the defensive side of the football, the Giants. Kicker banged up. Jameis Winston, we know what we like with Jameis Winston. We like overs. He loves to chuck 30-30, man. 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. How you not bet an over here, over 42? 42 and a half with Jameis Winston, and an injured defense? Oh, come on. Now, the concern with that is on the other side of this game, you got the Green Bay Packers who can't, like... Matt LaFleur is probably the next coach to go. If the Giants win this game, I bet you his ass is out the door. Because, oh boy, what a debacle that was Monday. I was on the Packers. And I haven't been on the Packers much. That game, the Eagles were horrible. It was the Packers game to win. Great spot for them at home, coming off a loss to the Carolina Panthers. And you score 7 points. They've scored 20 points in their last 2 games. And one of them was against the Carolina Panthers. This team doesn't have it right now on offense. And Matt LaFleur looks lost on the sideline. You're the head coach, okay? And he's talking to the offense like he's the offensive coordinator with the defense is on the field. That's not what we like to see. And then he goes on and attempts a 64-yard kick with an injured kicker. Like at that point, throw a Hail Mary, you got a better shot. He shanked it so far wide, it ended up in Lake Michigan. That kick from McManus. I mean, they're in jeopardy of missing the playoffs. They play Chicago twice still, the Green Bay Packers. Talk about Chicago in a minute. But Chicago's ahead of them right now. If they lose one of those games, they might not make the playoffs. This is troublesome. The San Francisco 49ers right behind them. There's another team that's might be right behind them. We'll talk about it later. But Tucker Kraft, not there. Jordan Love doesn't look comfortable. And injuries on both sides of the football. Micah Parsons is dealing with something. Nate Hobbs didn't practice Thursday. It's not looking good for the Packers. And you got the new coach bump for the Giants. And they're getting 7 points at home. Jameis Winston, he's the guy who rallies the troops. Yeah, give me the Giants. Giants +7 and the over. As soon as I was gonna pass this game because I was like, I can't bet Russell Wilson. How am I gonna bet Russell Wilson? He's got a moon ball and nothing else. And the Green Bay defense could win by themselves at that point. But you got Jameis Winston out there. He's gonna chuck the football. He doesn't give it. He doesn't give it. You know what? He doesn't give. And I think even if the Packer defense forces a couple turnovers, what are they going to do with them? Kick 64-yard field goals with injured kickers? Yeah, this team, and they're on a short week. And if you go back, you watch the season preview videos, the NFC East and the NFC North season preview videos. I said this spot is bad, is a horrible spot for the Packers. Where you look at the Giants, and now it's even worse because the Giants got the new coach bump. And this Kafka, yes, he's been there, but he could be like the permanent head coach. I wouldn't be shocked. This is an audition for him. That's why Jameis Winston's playing out Russell Wilson. He's like, no, I'm not tanking. I want to win some games. I'm going to put the guy who gives us the best chance to win because he's got a cannon, and he's going to, he's going to rally. The Giants are going to rally around the new coach. The Giants are going to rally around Jameis Winston. Russell Wilson, they were never going to rally around. Give me the Giants +7. Give me the over. Packers are a fade right now, and I bet on them in the best spot. You have Philadelphia scoring 10 points. You can't beat them. Come on. I don't trust this coaching staff. I don't trust the quarterback. I trust the defense. And was it Elton Jenkins? Elton Jenkins broke his leg, so now you're down one of your start offensive linemen. So yeah. Give me the Giants. All right. Speaking of the Chicago Bears, Vikings 2.5, 3 point home favorites. The total 48.5. I've already bet the Bears. Shocking. We're on the Bears again. The disrespect. My numbers say Bears are small chalk here. 3. There's 3s on the board. Now, I haven't bet the 3. I've just bet the money line straight up here so far. I'm waiting to see how much Vikings money we get. I think we could get a decent 3. So I'm hoping I get a 3-1-10. If not, I'll just play some more money line. I don't. No, sorry, sorry. I don't know. I'll just play some more. I'll just play some 2.5 because I think this could land 1 or 2. I don't think it's another round possibility, but I want to get the money line. I think I got plus 135 just in case some Chicago money came because the Bears have a pretty good betting bandwagon right now. I know they didn't cover the closing number last week, but they covered the early number. So people have been winning with the Bears week in and week out. I've been winning a lot with the Bears. They rally back again for the win. Fairly even game. So, they probably deserve the win and Giants probably deserve the cover. Very disciplined. The Bears, 3 penalties for 25, very disciplined. They struggled a bit on third down, but they continue to win the turnover battle. And that's been the focus of this defense. We got to win the turnover battle. And when you have a defense that's poor, without Jalen Johnson, on paper, this defense it rates poorly, but you watch them play, right? And the eye test is like they don't look like the Bengals out there. They don't look like the Cowboys defense out there. They don't look like some of these the Steelers defense out there. They look the Panthers defense. The Panthers even looks a little bit better the last couple of weeks, but Washington's defense. I forgot to mention in the Miami breakdown, Washington's defense. That's why I like Miami here. The last 5 weeks has been the worst defense in the league, even worse than the Cincinnati Bengals, the Washington Commanders. The defense is quit. Anyways, that's why I like Miami. But I forgot to throw that in there. They don't look like a bad defense when you watch the games because they're hit. They go for the turnover. They go for the big fish. Now injuries. Concerns here for the Bears. DJ Moore was on the injury report. Roma Dunze was on the injury report. TJ Edwards, I believe, has already been ruled out. So this could be a little bit of a shorthanded Bears team this week. But the one thing that I was always concerned about with the Bears, it looks like all the wide receivers are going to play. It's if Jalen Johnson and Jaquan Brisker, 2 defensive backs, are questionable. And, Justin Jefferson on the other side. But Justin Jefferson doesn't look healthy right now. And the one question mark for the Bears has always been, Caleb Williams. Can Caleb Williams play well? He's been graded he's the highest rated quarterback at Pro Football Focus over the last 2 weeks. Caleb Williams. If he's playing well, this Bears team is good. Okay, they got a good run game. They have good weapons. Williams uses his legs. The scheme is working. Ben Johnson has the offense cooking. The defense is forcing turnovers. And the defense is going to be great. But you force 1 turnover every game, and the other team and Caleb Williams, doesn't turn the ball over. Yeah, the Bears are going to win a lot of games. The Vikings outgained the Ravens 6 yards to 4.9 yards per play, but too many mistakes. 3 turnovers, 2 picks and a fumble. 13 penalties for 102 yards. How you lose football games where you outgain your opponent. JJ McCarthy looks rough. And remember, the first meeting, these guys played week 1. I bet the Bears and I lost. But remember, the Bears were in complete control of that game until the 4th quarter where McCarthy had the best quarter of his life. And we haven't seen that McCarthy since. I mentioned Jefferson's like 100%. Van Ginkel, I think he's not going to play again. Let's see here. Oh, no, he is in. Van Ginkel's in. But the center, Ryan Kelly's out with a concussion. And Darrisaw doesn't look healthy. The offensive line is banged up. Yeah, I'm on Chicago money line plus 135. And I will add some spread. This is going to be heavy. The Bears are better than the Vikings right now. I know the Vikings are great at home. Statistically, they've had a great home field advantage, the horn, everything. It feels like that week 1, the Bears are going to get their revenge for blowing that lead. So and what have the Bears been doing on defense? Forcing turnovers. What's JJ McCarthy been doing? Cooking up them turnovers. Yeah, give me the Bears. All right, Bucks, Bills. Bills, 5.5 point home favorites, total 46.5. The Bills were awful last week, but Josh Allen said it after the game. The Dolphins were hungry. Dolphins wanted that win. They hadn't beat Buffalo in 7 games. Bills, it was just that, it was a flat spot. They were flat as a pancake in that first half. After coming off that win, big win over the Chiefs, their rivals in the AFC. Kincaid is injured. I've talked about this multiple times with Buffalo. You stop the run, you double Shakir. Kincaid has been the guy they've been going to be, but now he's out. So what are you gonna do if you cover Shakir and you stop the run? What's the Buffalo offense? Keon Coleman, Dawson Knox. Yeah, sure. This offense hasn't been great, and we know the defense has had its struggles. And Miami did a number on them, 30 points. Devon Achane had almost 200 yards. But Tampa Bay on the other side, you're going up to cold weather in November, going up to Buffalo to play in the cold. They outgained they were outgained by the Pats, 5.6 to 7.4 yards per play. Baker Mayfield hasn't been himself the last couple of weeks. Ibuka's probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's the favorite right now, especially with Dark getting hurt. But Mike Evans being on IR, Chris Godwin isn't 100%. Bucky Irving's still going to be out again. And it's not like there's urgency for Tampa Bay. The team behind them is the Carolina Panthers. And guess what? They play them twice at the end of the season. And guess what? The Panthers and Bryce Young suck. So there's no urgency. Tampa's gone on mid-season losing streaks for the last 2 seasons. Still won the South because it's the South, the NFC South, that is. Vita Vea, Winfield Jr., Chris Godwin, and Bucky were all limited on Wednesday. Bucky is out. I will check the updates on the others right now. But right now, I had nothing. Oh, they're all out. Oh, except for Vita Vea and Winfield are playing. But Godwin's out. Guard, Brent Bredson's out. A lot of outs here. And it's just Kincaid and the Buffalo side. A lot of questions like Josh Paul. Khalil Shakir's playing. But you got, TJ Sanders, defensive tackle, offensive, or outside linebacker Shaq Thompson. Cornerback Cam Lewis, cornerback Teron Johnson. Injuries on defense. This total was 49.5. And I understand why it's been bet down on the under. Because Buffalo's offense hasn't been that good, and Tampa's offense has been, Baker hasn't been fantastic. But under 47 with these two, teams, they can put the ball in the end zone. They can move the football a little bit. I don't know Godwin. That's a concern, but Buffalo's defense, it isn't playing to the under right now. Tampa, isn't playing to the under right now. I understand why it's moved down, but the fact that it's below 47, I might be a little. I might get some buyback on this. I might play some over here. I understand why it's moved down, but I thought 47 was with 47 and a half. That was fair. 46.5. 27-20, you cash an over here. 24-23, you cash an over here. I don't want this. I don't want either team. Tampa's in that mid-season swoon. Tampa, I like early in the season and late in the season. Mid-season, they can fall asleep because they're in the NFC South. And then they'll wake up week 15 and beat the Carolina Panthers twice and win the division. So, yeah. Lean to the over. I might get involved with some over 46.5. I think I will get involved a little bit, even. Half a unit, maybe. Over 46.5, half a unit. I think that's what the bet's going to be here. All right. Chargers, Jaguars. Jaguars 3-point home underdogs. The total here, 43.5, 44. The Chargers defense was fantastic on Sunday night. They made Aaron Rodgers look old. He is old. Justin Herbert's been excellent. But the rest, the rest of the team is the rest of the offense is the problem. Lab McConkey's dinged up a bit. He's going to play. I believe he's going to play, but he's dinged up a bit. And then you have Quentin Johnston. Has he been? I think he's on IR. Or he hasn't been really factoring in the last couple of weeks. Johnson is questionable here. They held the ball for 37 minutes and outgained the Steelers by 100 yards. It was domination, 25 to 10. McConkey's in. Johnston is questionable. I mentioned that already. Yeah. So it's the running backs. They're down to Vidal, who's been okay. Running backs don't really matter in terms of the point spread. But obviously, the offensive line injuries are a concern. They have been. Pittsburgh wasn't able to take advantage of them. I didn't think they would be able to take advantage of them. Like I said, they got their Yinzer magic the week before. Keenan Allen has been a god. I was making fun of, Keenan Allen's back, the old man, but he's been fantastic. Good on Keenan Allen. My God, where would the Chargers be right now without Keenan Allen? Not 6-3 probably, or they 6-3. I think they're 6-3, or 7-3. 7-3 now. They beat the Steelers, I believe. But yeah, they've been the Chargers. I could play some Chargers any given week. But I've been on the Jags. I was high on the Jags. They're starting to concern me. That game against Houston concerns me. I know they found a way to lose. There was some zebra shenanigans in that game. There was a penalty that I didn't agree with. There was a couple of them. Like there was the pass interference penalty against the Jaguars late in that game, and then was the hands to the face penalty on offense where they would have had a chance to get field goal range and kick the game winner. Yeah, I didn't like any of that. Trevor Lawrence doesn't look good. Like Caleb Williams, the difference between the Bears and the Jaguars is Caleb Williams looks like he's improving. He's figuring out the game, slowing down a little bit. From Trevor Lawrence, looks like he's same old shell himself. Not very good. He is moving, running a little bit more, which helps. Defense is feast or famine. It's turnover or bust, kind of like the Bears. But I think the offensive line injuries for the Chargers, I think, could be a concern here. Parker Washington was great. 2 touchdowns, 1 return, 1 special. Of course, I played the yards and not the touchdown. He scores 2 and doesn't get his receiving yards. But now he's on the injury report with a hamstring injury. And Travis Hunter's had season-ending surgery. Brian Thomas Jr. is questionable. Parker Washington will play, but he's got a hamstring injury. That's not a good sign for a wide receiver. So keep an eye on Brian Thomas Jr. I like the under in this game. The Chargers defense should be able to dictate this game. And they only scored 25 against the Steelers. I don't think they're going to get, the Jaguars defense isn't great, but they can force a turnover here and slow down a drive. There could be a lot of kicking in this game. I don't see too many touchdowns being scored in this game. Especially with now Jacoby Myers, that trade for Jacoby Myers last week. I knew they got somebody at the beginning of the show. The Jaguars got somebody, and they did. It was Jacoby Myers. But, and I also like Trevor Lawrence throwing an interception. I mean, he's bad right now. Trevor Lawrence is holding the Jaguars back right now. So, the Jaguars, I should be on Jacksonville here +3. We know the history of these teams in the playoffs where Jacksonville came back from the dead in the wild card. I was on the Jags in that game, but I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. I don't. But I can trust the Chargers, and I trust the Chargers defense to stop the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are going to struggle to score. The Chargers on a high-scoring team. I think the Jaguars defense can slow them down and maybe force a turnover or 2. And 9 penalties for 90 yards for the Jaguars. Yeah, I hope I get to 8 wins with Jacksonville. I'm a little bit nervous. Now, of course, they still play the Titans. They still play the Colts, and I know the Colts are 8-2, but they own the Colts. So I think we can still get to 8. I'm not betting any more money on this team right now, though. So under 44 and Trevor Lawrence throwing an interception are my 2 plays in this game. All right. Now, what a game we have here. Seattle Seahawks, Los Angeles Rams. We just put Los Angeles. Los Angeles Rams. Rams 3.5 point home favorites. The total 48.5, 49. Surely I'm on the Seahawks, right? I mean, I can't get enough of the Seahawks team. Up 38 or 35 zip in the second quarter. 2 offensive touchdowns, 2 defensive touchdowns in the first quarter. They've beat the last 4 opponents by 8 or more points. Now they're underdogs, playing complimentary football. Offense works. Sam Darnold's been great. Defense works. Then we had a couple of turnovers, but that game was garbage time. You get a little lackadaisical. The Vikings look like complete idiots right now, morons, for getting rid of Sam Darnold in the offseason and now with their quarterback situation. But there's some injuries for the Seahawks, and the big one is starting center Jalen. What's this guy's name? Jalen. I can't. But their starting center is out multiple weeks, and they're one of their guards, Greg Zabel, is questionable. Last I checked, see if I can get an update on that. But the offensive line that has been so good protecting Sam Darnold, that's the reason the Seahawks are overachieving right now. This offensive line was expected to be not very good. Jalen Sundell, he's out. The guard, Zabel, looks like he's going to play, but he was limited all week. So, I don't know if he's going to make the whole game. Torrey Horton, also out, wide receiver. And the Rams are completely healthy, basically. And the Rams, they might be the only team hotter than the Seahawks right now. Matthew Stafford can't be stopped. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Tyler Haig, was Haig on the team anymore, and the rest of the receivers there. But Stafford, Nacua, and Adams probably beat the rest of the NFL right now. Stafford's on pace for 50 touchdowns. And McVay has had Mike McDonald's number. Remember when Mike McDonald was back in Baltimore? And Baltimore played Rams. I remember there was one game McVay had put up like 30, 40 points. Took Lamar Jackson heroics for the Ravens to win that game. So this, McVay's had the McDonald's defense number a little bit. The last 3 meetings have been decided by one score, and one of them went to overtime. So, I lean Rams. I think this is a Rams spot just because of the offensive line injuries. I mean, the center touches the ball on every play, and both teams have a good pass rush. But when you're starting centers, that Rams pass rush is going to look pretty good. Now, it's only one offensive lineman, so maybe I'll pump the brakes. Okay, and Torrey Horton, I mean, he's great, but they got Shaheed. And Cooper Kupp looked pretty good. All of a sudden, he's got some competition in the room, and Cooper Kupp has a good game again. Everyone was having a good game against Arizona last week. DeMarcus Lawrence had 2 touchdowns. He plays defensive line. So I am going to pass. I really I'm thinking about laying the 3. It feels like a Rams spot, but I don't want to bet against Seahawks right now. And this has been the cash cow right now for myself and for many bettors. So it's a pass. Plus, I had a bad read in the NFC West last week, but I might go to the well here a little bit. Niners, Cardinals. Cardinals 3-point home dogs. 48 and a half. 48 and a half now the total. Injuries everywhere, both sides. San Francisco might have found an opponent that that has a bigger injury report than them for the first time all season, because the amount of injuries for you to get blown out, by the Seahawks, but also the amount of players who got hurt in that game. Bam Knight got hurt. The running back. Now, running backs don't matter, but it's up to a point, because now they don't want their 4th, 5th string running back, and we know what DeMarcado, he's been trouble. I mean, and they're out of it, so are you really going to rush? Okay, Bam Knight's questionable, right? Darius Robinson, 5 guys questionable that matter. Darius Robinson, Walter Nolan, the star rookie, Marvin Harrison Jr. is out. Will Johnson, cornerback, out. Bilal Nichols, defensive lineman, he's out. Kevin Beacham, offensive line, questionable. Oh, Will Hernandez, offensive lineman, like this team is banged up. Offensive lineman Hayden Conner, he's out. Calais Campbell, he's going to play. Obviously, he just doesn't practice. And meanwhile, don't look now, the 49ers, I mean, obviously, Nick Bosa still, but the 49ers are getting healthier. And it might be Brock Purdy this week. I don't think it really matters. But, McCaffrey, Purdy, Pearsall. Pearsall's was limited on Thursday. I don't have an update on him. See if I can find one. And Lenoir, the quarterback, he might also play this week. So yeah, it looks like Pearsall's in. Lenoir questionable. They're all active. Purdy, Pearsall. The Niners are getting healthy. The Cardinals are getting hurt. And the Niners offense has been fine. It's the defense that's been horrid. The Niners still scored 26 against a pretty good Rams defense last week. And they were in the game more than Arizona was. Jones 319 passing or 393 total yards. The offense is working. It's the defense has been the trouble, but all the injuries in Arizona. I mean, who's no Marvin Harrison Jr. If Bam Knight doesn't play, it's DeMercado and guys. They found at the Arizona-Mexico border they're going to pull off the street. Yeah, I was going to stay away from this game, but you look at the injury reports. How do you not bet San Francisco here? So I'm going to split it up here. San Francisco -3, and San Francisco team total over 25.5. I know the Cardinals game was done in the first quarter. I know they upset the Cowboys 2 weeks ago. Kyler Murray, is he playing? I don't even know. I didn't even check if Kyler Murray was playing. He's not on the injury report, is he? So Kyler Murray might be playing, but does that even matter? Like Jacoby Brissett has been fine. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, I think he's just on IR is probably what happened. Let me just double check. But I don't think it even matters. Like if Kyler Murray was playing at a cheaper number, it's fine with me because who's he going to throw the ball to? Like I said, guys they're going to find at the boy. Yeah, he's on IR. Yeah, like just the injuries on this. Zay Jones is on IR now too. Like it's Michael Wilson is your wide receiver 1. Greg Dortch, Trey McBride, but you got Jonah Williams out. Quarterback Will Johnson out. Like it's not Walter Nolan quite like it's gonna be bad. There's just too many injuries. So San Francisco -3, split up with the team total over 25.5 because just in case the San Francisco defense is awful and this turns into a track meet. I don't see Arizona stopping this offense though. The San Francisco offense is very good. They scored 26 last week. These 26 again. 25.5 is a cheap enough number in my opinion. All right. Now back to the AFC North. Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns. We're trying to pick up the pace a little bit. It's getting close to 7 here. Ravens, 7.5-point road favorites, a total 38.5, 39. The Ravens are on a 3-game win streak. They're back and they're the favorite again, meaningful favorite to win the AFC North. 1 game behind Pittsburgh, who look fraudulent, as we talked about in the Pittsburgh Steelers breakdown. They were outgained by the Vikings 4.9 to 6 yards per play. But, of course, capitalized on Minnesota mistakes and injuries. And Harbaugh, after the game, he said he was almost in tears how proud of he was of his guys to fight back from 1-5. And this team's capable. Look at Washington. That team's in a mess right now. And they're, there's no fight in them, right? Like, they scored some late touchdowns there. Donald Trump got to call one. But the fight's not there. The Ravens 1-5. They can easily packed in and said, we'll try again next season. No. They're back in it. They're the favorites. They know that this division they can win it, no problem. And there's not really. I know they're 4-5, but is there really urgency? Okay, Joe Burrow back in the picture, maybe a little bit of urgency, but you're still 1 game ahead of them. If you lose this game to Cleveland, you're 4-6, but. What's it going to take to win the division? 9 wins, 10 wins. They can't really catch the Colts, Broncos, or Patriots. Like I doubt you're going to catch them for 1, 2, 3. So it's basically if you win the division, you're the 4 seed. So I don't sense the urgency here. Rashad Bateman, wide receiver, Justice Hill, running back, cornerback Marlon Humphreys, and linebacker Jay Higgins. All didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. I don't expect them to play. But maybe one of them does. Meanwhile, the Browns lost to the Jets. That's not a good sign. They only had 106. The defense is great. They only allowed 169 yards of offense, but special teams. Browns special teams coming to rear its ugly head again. 2 back-to-back return touchdowns. Punt return and a kick return touchdown back to back. Like that's horrible. And then of course jumping offside late. Stefanski is now on the hot seat. The guy's won Coach of the Year 2 years in a row. Now he's on the hot seat. I mean, Dylan Gabriel and part of it's his fault. Like that jumping offside, the return touchdowns. A lot of that's coaching, right? But like the Shadur Sanders drama, I don't think he drafted him. The Browns just took him. Oh, he's still here, right? He could be something. So that's kind of also put him on the hot seat. But the Browns are pretty healthy. Just they don't have people. I mean, Deshaun Watson's not. Who cares? I mean, Dylan Gabriel will give you a half decent effort here. We know the Browns step up in these divisional games, especially on defense. So I'm gonna take a little piece of the Browns here. Small play, plus 7.5. They're at home. The Ravens stole their older franchise, right? The Ravens used to be the Browns back in the day. It's a divisional game. The defense is going to really get up for this game. The Ravens, like I said, I don't know how much urgency there is. They kind of feel like they're back now. They could come a little bit flat. And I don't not that Cleveland's going to win the game, but they could. I've seen them do this before where they upset the Ravens here when they have no, when on paper they have no business doing it. But Myles Garrett can cover spread by himself sometimes. So I will play Cleveland plus 7.5. Small play, divisional home dog, getting more than 7. I mean, I and a low total, right? So the Browns. What do they need here? 10, 15 points to cover this? Maybe more than 10. Maybe we get defensive score here, but it's going to be small. But I like the spot, and you're off the loss to the Jets, so I expect about. Who else lost? The Bengals, but then they went and the Bengals they went on bye. Yes, the Bengals lost to the Jets. Who else lost to the Jets? The Bengals. Yeah, the Bengals are on bye last week, so 2 teams off losses to the Jets. So yeah. Oh no, and they lost to somebody. I don't know, but again, the small play, but I'll take 7.5. Baltimore can win this by 6, 7. I don't think they're in a hurry to win to really. Yeah, and the Browns in a divisional game, that defense really, they don't want to get embarrassed. It's about that Myles Garrett. It's about more not getting embarrassed than it is about winning. Like, you want to win the game, but they want to put in a good show. If they lose 13-10, they'll hang their head and we gave them a good fight. So hopefully we get a low scoring game like that. All right, Chiefs Broncos, and minus plus. The Broncos 3.5, 4-point home dogs. The 8-2 Denver Broncos in Mile High 3.5, 4 home point. Home dogs. The total 45, 4.5, 45. How can the Broncos be home dogs? 3.5, 4. Well, the Chiefs are off a bye, and we know Andy Reid off a bye. We know the stories. The record's insane. They're still the Super Bowl favorites. I talked about this earlier. They need this win. I think everybody's healthy except Pacheco on the Chiefs. And the Broncos are coming off that debacle on prime time. 10-7 win over Vegas. Bo Nix in the offense stunk. Listen to these numbers. 220 total yards of offense. 11 penalties or 78 yards. 5 of 15 on third down. 2 picks. Yeah, Bo Nix in the offense. The offense has dried up a little bit for the Broncos. Dobbins didn't practice. He's out. It's going to be the RJ Harvey show. so if you're taking the Broncos here, you're relying on RJ Harvey and Bo Nix. Good luck. Surtain, I don't think he's playing. Singleton's already been ruled out. The Chiefs, the Broncos have been giving subpar performances, but pulling out wins. Like that Giants game, the fourth quarter comeback. They barely beat Vegas. I know it was a divisional game, but still, but I'm not laying 3.5, 4 against an 8-2 team at home. I mean, I don't. Kansas City doesn't need to win by 4. They win by 3, and they're completely fine. It's not like the Broncos aren't laying down here. This is a big number. Like Kansas City to win by and I could see it where Kansas City wins by going away. That's why I'm not taking Denver. No chance. But at the same time, I don't want the Chiefs. Not at this number. There's just the Denver is going to give an effort, and I expect it to be half decent. So pass. No opinion on the total. The Broncos offense is just bad right now, so I could see it going under. But at the same time, the Chiefs could run up the score a little bit. Force Bonix throw the ball. Troy Franklin comes down with a couple of catches, and it's all of a sudden it's a track meet. So pass for me here, but it should be a good game. If you like the Chiefs, don't you can lay the 3.5, 4. That's fine. But again, they don't need to win by but they can win by 3. Very happy. I think that happens a lot. But what you could do is you could go to the futures market and bet Kansas City to win the division because they still play Denver twice. Or if you even want to get even ballsier, you can go put the Chargers to win the division because if Denver loses this game, remember the Chargers are 3-0 inside the division. They haven't lost a divisional game yet. So even though they're 1 game behind, they're really only half a game behind Denver because they've already beat them once. They've already beat the Chiefs. So like the divisional tiebreaker is likely going to go to the Chargers. If they can beat one of them one more time and beat the Raiders, which is, they should beat the Raiders. So, and they were going to be coin flip games probably. So the Chargers to win the division, I might look at that number because I don't know if the Chiefs can catch up. Their schedule is easy down the stretch, but the Chargers are good, and that defense is good. And Justin Herbert's playing out of his mind. So I might look at like traditional. The Chiefs going to win here. That puts it back to the division race. Yeah, but they're 5-4. The Chargers are 7-3. They're not even 1 game back because they have all the tiebreakers. I like the Chargers. I might bet the Chargers win the division because I could definitely see Denver losing this game. That's a divisional loss for them. It helps it helps the Chargers tiebreaker against the Broncos, and the Broncos are the team they're chasing right now. So Chargers win the division. I might take a look at instead of laying it with the Chiefs. All right, Lions, Eagles. Eagles 2.5-point home favorites, total 46.5. The Lions shellacked the Commanders last week. It was a decent game in Mariota, but the defense is horrible. Deron Payne gets ejected. We talked about it ad nauseum in the Dolphins Washington breakdown. Dan Campbell calls the plays. They look fantastic. 8 yards per play, 1 penalty for 3 yards. Yeah, that's when Dan Campbell's calling the plays. All of a sudden, people pay attention. You hear Dan Campbell in your ear every play. And but the Lions team is starting to look like a well-oiled machine. There's a little bit of hiccups early in the season with Ben Johnson leaving. They got to adjust. It is a back-to-back on the road, but Washington, Detroit, Philly aren't the furthest cities from each other. It's all in the Northeast. Detroit's a little bit west, being on Lake Erie and Lake Erie there, but is it Erie or Ontario? I can't remember, but being on the tip of Ontario there, but it's not the it's maybe a 2-3 hour flight to Philly. Hutch looks like he's good to go. Laporta, Arnold, Kirby Joseph all didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday. Those are injuries to look at. And the offensive line's a little bit banged up. Penny Sewell and Taylor Decker were both limited. They're all questionable. Let's see if I have an update. That was about a couple hours ago when I made these notes. On the other side, Philly wasn't impressive, obviously, in the Monday Night Football, but they got the win, right? And that's been Philly's mantra since the beginning of the year. Nick Sirianni's mantra since the beginning of the year. We don't need to we're not going to win the season in week 11. We're just going to get a win, stay healthy. And that's what they did because Cam Jurgens was an injury concern going into that game. He's the only injury concern right now for the Eagles. Everybody else is there's no one else on the injury report that didn't full practice yet. Arnold, Joseph, Laporta, all out. Hutch in with a lot of questionables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 questionables for the Lions. So the Eagles were out game 4.9 to 4 yards per play. The quotes in the locker room after the game. Same thing all season. Yeah, we got to play better, but we got the win. And like I said last, they're cruising to the division right now. I know the Cowboys traded for some people, but the Cowboys aren't going to catch them. After this, the Eagles don't really play anybody except Dallas. They still got 2 games against Washington. Washington's already quit. They're already on vacation in Spain. They're all of 2 on 4th down, the Eagles, and 7 penalties, 6 winners. They're not playing their A game, but they understand it's week 11. They're going to pump it up. They get some easier teams after this game. Sunday Night Football, total's low. Like the Lions team total is 22.5. I'm betting that 100%. The Lions team total. I don't care. Philadelphia, Vancouver, China, Lambeau Field in freezing cold weather. The Detroit team total should not be 22.5. That's a bet. And I will be playing some Lions money line. Johnny the Prop Man loves the Lions. The injuries have me concerned, but I'll be playing some Lions. But the main bet, full unit, Lions team total over 22.5. I mean, 20. This offense is cooking. Yes, the Eagles defense is good, but we've seen the Lions play good defenses and score into the 30s. The offense, a good offense beats a good defense in the NFL. So Philly's gonna have to score. The full game or looks low, but at the same time, do you trust Philadelphia? I would much rather play the Lions team total, and the Eagles could blow them out and score a bunch of this defense, but maybe I'll add some over too. Maybe I'll split it up. So maybe I'll have 2 units on the game. And then hopefully Philly doesn't win 10-7 again. But this total is way too low. Is there weather in Philly? Maybe I got to check the weather here. I forget it's November in Philadelphia. Philadelphia weather. Sunday night. 29 kilometer an hour winds. Okay. Well, that is a little bit concerning. Yeah, that's a little bit concerning. Sunday, 7 p.m. 23. The wind's going to die now. No precipitation, though. But I still think we can get over 46 and a half. And I still think we can get team total over. Especially because the Lions' injuries, the ones that are confirmed outside Laporte are all on defense. But again, like Detroit's in a little more of a division battle, though. If you like the Bears to win the division, this might be the week to bet it. Because if Detroit's going to lose, this could be the spot. All right. Monday Night Football, Cowboys, Raiders. Cowboys 3.5 point road favorites, a total 49.5, 50. I got a bad number. I have 3.5 even money, so I don't know if it's really a bad number. But you can get 3, I think, minus 115. So maybe I have 5 cents bad number. Because I think the 3 is worth about 20 cents. Cowboys are 3-5-1, but they traded for people. And regardless of whether you think it was foolish to trade to be buyers at the deadline at 3-5-1, it sends a message to the locker room. Jerry Jones believes in this team. And there's things to believe in the Cowboys. Like I said, the offense has been good. Okay, there was a debacle against Arizona 2 weeks ago. That defensive line blew up the line of scrimmage a couple of times. Cowboys couldn't convert on 4th down. But the coaching's been good. The offense has been good. The defense has been the problem. But all of a sudden, here comes reinforced. Here comes Logan Williams. Here comes Quinnen Williams. Or Logan Wilson. Here comes Quinnen Williams. You go from, it's still not going to be a good defense. But when you were as bad as you were, a little bit of improvement can go a long way. And not only are they getting those guys through trade, Devon Overshown might play in this scheme. Remember him? He was one of their better players on defense last couple of years. So, I really like the Cowboys. On the other side, you have Geno Smith. The Cowboys. They got Quinnen Williams, they got Logan Wilson. The other side, Jacoby Myers is gone, and you have Brock Bowers and Max Crosby and Geno Smith. And Geno Smith has been awful. They were on the other side of that debacle Thursday night against the Broncos. Brock Bowers was taken away in that game, and the Raiders' offense couldn't do anything. No Jacoby Myers. And when you doubled Brock Bowers with a good defense, these Broncos are good defense. Cowboys, I don't think I'm going to be able to take away Brock Bowers, but if I'm the Cowboys defense core, I'll be like, listen, all right, you might get beat a little bit in the run game. You can't let Brock Bowers beat you. You take him away. Put 3 guys on him if you need to. All right, it's Brock Bowers and a bunch of guys, and Gentry and a bunch of guys out there. And Geno Smith's going to throw an interception. All right, and we know what is the Cowboys' defensive strength: forcing turnovers. They've been great at that for a long time. They play that sink or swim. We're going to go for the turnover kind of football. But when they get it, the offense gets back on the field, and the offense is so good. At worst, it's a field goal because your guy can kick a 70-yard field goal, and a lot of the times it's a touchdown because the offense, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, this, and he looks foolish now, Jerry Jones, the 3-5-1. I don't know how foolish this is because the Packers. I was talking about the 49ers. Okay, they're getting healthier; they could be a problem, but they're in a tough division. They still, yeah, and they still play the Bears, so that's one of them. Those good teams going to lose, and the Packers are beating themselves right now. So, the Cowboys 3-5-1. That tie is kind of keeping them in this race a little bit. The loss of the Bears hurts, but Carolina's probably going to fall out of favor. You need one of San Francisco, Green Bay, or Chicago to fall to get have a chance, or two of them, sorry, to fall, or maybe Green Bay to sort of stutter, and maybe you can beat them on tiebreaker if you beat the Eagles or something, or that they lose to the Bears, right? I don't think they're completely out of it. It looks foolish now, but and it might look foolish at the end of the year, but if in terms of this week, this game, it sends a message locker room. We're not giving up here. We're bringing guys in. We see problems, but we also like what we see on offense. We like what we see on special teams. And we like what we see in terms of coaching. We like what we see in practice. Sends a message. And there's going to be more Cowboy fans than Raider fans. Or 50-50 at best, I think, for the Raider fans. Yeah, so give me the Cowboys minus 3.5. I got 3.5 plus 100. I might add some 3. I like this spot quite a bit. Off the bye, too. I know Dallas off a bye, but this isn't McCarthy. This is Schottenheimer, and I liked what I've seen from Schottenheimer so far. All right, we made it through 15 or 14 NFL games, one on Thursday, of course. Pieguy971 Instagram. Follow along. Keep on show updates. Should be another 6 o'clock show tomorrow. The crazy Fridays are gone for a little bit. Of course, the Grey Cup this Sunday. Watch Rants, Rum, and Rouges for my analysis on that. Rants, Rum, Rouges, YouTube channel. If you want some action for the Grey Cup, we have some props, we have side, we have total. It should be a good weekend. I'm going to make some chicken wings. I have to select a best bet. What's it? I like quite a bit this week. What was the last week? We went with a money line. Do I want to go with the team total, or I don't know. I don't really want to. I don't trust the Giants. Yeah, let's go ballsy. I've been riding them all season. The Vikings are hurt. Chicago money line, best bet. It's the Chicago Bears on the money line. I think they are going to. I believe in this team. Caleb Williams played great 2 weeks in a row. I know it's a tougher defense, but I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I like this plus number. I'm betting Chicago here. It's I don't usually I didn't think this is going to be honest, but the more I look at it, the more it's like, yeah, this is the game where I have it takes balls to take a Chicago Bears team who has underachieved and been horrible year after year, outside of 1 year with Jay Cutler, year after year after year, as a plus money underdog on the road. And it's not like you're getting plus 200, plus 130, plus 135 underdog on the road. But at the same time, I don't feel nervous about this bet at all. It feels like it's the right bet. And it feels like this, the Bears right now are better than the Vikings. So Chicago money line, Pieguy Pickham's best bet. Another money line. We're going back to the well. Hope it didn't work out last week, but try it this week. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you all next week for another edition of Pieguys Pick'em. Goodbye.